Do we really want to own a watch for its function first? When we buy a dive watch, are we buying the function of it being a diver at all? See, everyone makes jokes about the desk diver, and as someone who can recreationally scuba dive, admittedly, I haven't gone on a dive in over a year, and yet I own a Submariner. One day soon, I'll take it, but for now, the question remains. Now, I bought a watch with an eye for function. See, I work in manufacturing. I've talked about it before. We make a luxury aluminum roof that opens and closes. And I have historically been in the back programming the CNC machine or pulling pallets or loading boxes on trucks or changing out whatever inert gas we're running on our TIG machine for the day. And part of that comes with owning a growing business. With that environment, I wanted a watch that had a date, a countdown bezel, a high water resistance, chronograph if possible. A vertical clutch would be ideal because I always forget the chronograph is running all the time and I do time things out on the floor all the time. And ideally a case that would hide scratches. Basically, no high polishing. Also, I've had spring bars fail when I caught watches on a box and I've ended up catching them right before they hit the concrete. So ideally nothing with spring bars. That could be either fixed lugs or it could be screwed in lugs, either way. So I bought something about 3 months back, the Tudor FXD chronograph, a Lingy Red Bull Racing Edition. Long name. Date? Yes. Countdown bezel? Yep. 200 meters water resistance, a Tudor modified B01 or Breitling movement. Tudor has their name for it, with a vertical clutch and column wheel. It has a carbon composite case. It has fixed lugs. It has basically everything I was looking for a price of about $52.75, I think right now is the retail, or just about $4,000 or a little below on the secondary market. See, great specs, great pricing, and it fit everything that I wanted. But is the function enough to keep it around? That's one of the clear questions. Now let's start with the case. So it's carbon composite, and I'll talk about this from a manufacturing end. See, carbon composite is known as a carbon reinforced polymer. What that means is essentially a carbon reinforced plastic. These sorts of advanced plastics are everywhere in manufacturing for their low density and high mechanical properties, like strength. See, we personally use a glass reinforced nylon 6/6 on our own product for its superior mechanical properties over aluminum and steel. And in our case, it also has increased lubrication properties that you don't get out of metals. Widespread adoption of carbon composites in watch cases gained momentum in the 1990s and 2000s. A significant development occurred in the mid-2000s when forged carbon was invented. This innovation resulted from a collaboration between Lamborghini and Callaway, a golf company, and the University of Washington. Now, carbon fiber composites offer exceptional strength to weight ratio, making them ideal for a lot of things, including watch cases to some extent. Some key points around their strength include carbon fiber is approximately 5 times stronger than steel and twice as stiff. Now, that's carbon fiber by itself. It provides excellent durability while maintaining a lightweight structure, and the material's high strength to weight ratio allows it to withstand the rigors of all sorts of things, including everyday wear. Carbon fiber composites come in different formats, including sheet carbon and forged carbon. Forged carbon in particular offers the same strength as traditional carbon fiber, but can be produced more quickly and is suitable for creating smaller parts like watch bracelets. Now, what about scratch resistance? While carbon fiber composites are generally resistant to some scratches and scuffs, they are not scratch proof. The material's dark color can help conceal minor imperfections though, and to a large extent, that's kind of what I've experienced. I don't notice any additional scratches because, well, it isn't a perfect surface to begin with, and it's black, so I can't notice much anyway. High quality carbon fiber with a protective coating or finish is less likely to show significant scratches, but it is important to note, it can also dent as well because it's a resin, basically a resin with carbon fiber built in there. So it can dent, it can scratch. It likely won't crack though because it's not that brittle, it would just deform. But generally carbon composite has a scratch resistance of 80 to 100 Vickers. That's less than stainless steel, which is around 150. So scratch resistance is generally not the reason why you purchase a watch like this. When it comes to longevity, it appears carbon fiber watches do have several factors that come into play. See, over time, carbon fiber cases can experience slight color changes or fading due to exposure of sunlight and environmental factors. In our case, glass-filled nylon can develop more of a sheen over time, so it's more reflective. And lastly, carbon fiber is generally resistant to corrosion, but exposure to harsh chemicals or extreme temperatures or prolonged humidity can negatively impact the material. So generally, it has a lot of benefits, but of course, drawbacks as well. Still, there's more to the watch than just the case itself. See, the bezel here is made out of titanium with a carbon composite bezel insert. The dial is this deep blue with red rimmed subdials, and the typeface, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, is on the chapter ring. Now, I want to dispel any concerns on that text right now. I never saw the name there. In these macro shots, it's obvious, it's loud that the name is right there on that chapter ring. But in person and day-to-day use, I never saw it, almost never saw the name up there because I used the actual countdown bezel as the minute track. The date is also at 6 o'clock and it has fixed lugs. It's also 43 millimeters in diameter, but I'll be the first to tell you it wears the exact same as a 42 millimeter Pelagos FXD. So if you've worn one of those, this will fit just as well. Now for the strap, Tudor's chosen a woven fabric strap here with a Velcro closure for this model, so it allows for quick adjustments even over a wetsuit in this case. The strap's design offers comfortable fit and aligns with the practical, utility-driven aesthetics of the watch. It's lightweight, it's breathable, and it's very comfortable. And that is one of the things I really enjoyed about this strap. I don't love seeing the Velcro right here. I don't think aesthetically it looks super nice, or the fact that it closes towards me instead of away from me. I guess I could revert that if I wanted to, but I think the aesthetics of the Velcro aren't my favorite, but the function and feel of this strap are fantastic. One downside is anytime you take this off, the stitching here on the end of this is supposed to keep it from coming out through that loop, which means you have to back the stitching out anytime you're actually taking the strap off the watch. So it is something to note that over time, I think that this stitching here will get frayed and fall off, or at least start to come loose, if you keep putting this strap on and then a different strap, and then this strap on and then a different strap. Because every time you take it out of this keeper, you do end up kind of pushing against that stitching a little bit. And that leads us into positives and negatives. So the positives, in my opinion, is the unique case material. As someone who likes composites, the design is different. It's also very tactical, which I think looks nice. It's functional, and the countdown bezel addition with a chronograph is very useful for me. I did use both in tandem, actually quite a bit. Maybe it was sort of like using it because it's available versus using it out of need, but I certainly did use both those features a lot. I love the movement in here. The B01 movement is a fantastic chronograph movement in general with the vertical clutch and column wheel. It's a great mass-produced movement that offers a lot of value in today's modern age, especially given the 70-hour power reserve. It's just very functional. It also is very tactile, so I love the way this chronograph starts and stops. It feels nice. It's not as nice as some others, like I like the Zenith El Primero movement in terms of action a little bit better. Now on negatives, see there's no bracelet or strap options that I can use other than a NATO or a fabric strap, which I have learned that that's actually really important to me. I didn't realize how much I like either sailcloth straps. I've been wearing sailcloths by here's a sailcloth by D-Lugs. I also have sailcloths here that I've worn for a long time now by Artem, both of which are great and different in any way. I could do a different follow-up on straps a little more later in each of these reviews. And I have a video talking about a bunch of different straps and the strap guide. So if you want to see that, I linked that up above. But I found that I actually like wearing things that aren't NATOs. I don't wear NATOs very often. And I found that was my big Achilles heel with this, is that the only thing I could put it on was a NATO. And that's obviously par for the course with an FXD, but I didn't realize how much that was actually a no-go for me. I bought some Bark and Jack NATO straps. I bought a rubber strap that's a single pass as well, and I wore it on that actually quite a bit because it kept it tucked to my wrist. What I found the most on NATOs is that they slide a lot, and it just bothered me. So not a huge fan of NATOs. I do wear them every so often, but I like a watch to be able to swap on something else. So that's obviously kind of a negative. The winding action on this is also a little bit gritty. I'm not sure if it's just this watch. I don't feel like I felt this when I reviewed the Tudor Chrono before, but I noticed that when I'm winding it, it feels more like winding a Seiko, to be honest. Like either the Grand Seiko or a normal Seiko, they have a really gritty feeling crown action as you wind it, as opposed to the smooth action of winding a lot of watches, including Solida's, ETA movements for that matter. I'm not sure exactly what I'm working against here. Maybe there's a bidirectional winding mechanism in there that I'm fighting, like there is on the Seiko. It also could be the fact that the material of the case isn't as dense, so it can't deaden the sound. I'm not quite sure, but that wasn't something I didn't like as much. And the last negative is I just didn't take it out of the box. I think that's just something that happens with watches every so often, where if you don't click with it, like you just don't put it on, you just choose to put other things on instead. And that obviously in the end is the most important thing. How often do you wear it? You can buy something for functionality. And this brings us back to the beginning. You know, I bought this for functionality. I bought it for all the things that it could do, that I could use, but I didn't wear the watch. And I didn't choose to wear the watch. And even today, if I look at my whole collection, I probably wouldn't choose this out of everything else. I'd wear something else instead. So when I had the opportunity to buy an IWC Mark 20, which I already did a review on and talked about in my watch collection, it was a no-brainer for me that I'll end up selling this in order to fund that retroactively. So buy the Mark 20 first, then sell this. That's how we do things in the watch hobby. You always cart before the horse. And I've already worn the Mark 20 more than I've worn this. So it just made sense to let this go. So function is not the reason to buy a watch. It's all about what you like, what looks exciting or pretty to you. That's the watch you should get. Don't logic your way into a watch like I did with this. It's a great watch. There's no doubt about it. It just didn't get any wrist time from me because I just preferred to wear other things instead. But what do you guys think about Tudor's recent chronograph releases and all these different editions, or about the expansion of the FXD line with the GMT? I'll see you in the next one. Take care.